Hello, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful episode of the Talking Stick Show. My name is Destiny, and I've been asked to introduce today's panel. Okay, so today we have on hand the galactic historian, Andrew Bartzis, along with Dale Tobin from the Symmetry of Health. He is accompanied by Laura Massey from Two Feathers Medicine and Maddie Waller. Finally, we have David Ellis from Unified Health Systems, who is also my dad. Today's show will be focusing on the Combined Healing System, which is now available to folks in the UK. We want to urge you to try to take advantage of this huge opportunity for a healing experience, which is like no other. If you need further information about the system, you can scan the barcode which is right next to my head, and this will take you to an air deck where you can learn all the scientific and esoteric principles which makes this system so effective. Okay, everyone. Enjoy the show, and take care.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday night or Tuesday morning, Tuesday evening, wherever you are in the world, the Talking Stick Show. So I am joined by these panel of beautiful people we have this evening. So I'd like to firstly introduce the alchemist, Matty Waller, to the show. Hello, brother.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, welcome. And I'd like to introduce Laura Quickie Massey. Hello, Laura.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Dale.
How are you today, Laura? How are you feeling?
Really good. Really excited to be here. Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. And we have Lily on the show. Hello, Lily.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. And do you want to introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself? You came on the show a few months back, but for those listening who don't know who you are, just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I experienced the combined therapy up in York this summer. So I've come on just to talk a bit about my experience with that. And I'm really looking forward to exploring that all with you guys.
Great to have you on, Lily. And Sam, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Welcome.
I'm Sam, and I've been to combined therapy twice. One was the first, I just did the 1 day, and then I've just recently come back doing 2 days.
Outstanding. And how are you feeling?
Like I can fly.
So me, Laura, Matty have just done a combined therapy. What date did we finish on, guys? What was it?
Oh, Dale.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Last Thursday.
We all finished the combine. We did 6 days of combined altogether.
Yeah.
We had a few people on, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. And for me as a practitioner, as someone evolving all the time, the levels of understanding, the levels of awareness from using that system time after time, it expands and it expands. So for me, my mind was blown even more about how deep this system can go into the core of who you are. And it can go into all of those places where you've been avoiding, or energy is stuck, or dense energy and so on. And it can be drawn out of you over those days. And I've seen some incredible life-changing experiences from me doing the psychic surgery alongside an incredible team of people. Like we have David, Laura, Matty, Andrew, like some of the greatest people I know and great friends. And I'm amazed by it, guys. Like the first time I did it was only in Scotland. I only started going under the light, doing soul surgery, and my expansion and my knowingness from using that Lucia light, the PMF mat, all of the therapies combined has just completely blown me away. So I'd like to bring Laura to start with. So what has it been like for you in your process of combined therapy and being a practitioner as well?
I love it because every time we do it, we also get a healing. We also get to experience how good this system is. And you got to say hats off to David and Andrew, because they're the designers of this system, and no one else in the world is doing it, has done it like they've done it, and are still doing it, because they're still looking at how they can improve this system, how we all can. So I'm really honoured to be part of this team who is taking this forward. The whole experience is absolutely mind-blowing, as you said, Dale, to see the changes in Lily, in Sam, and others. I think Richard, who's coming on tonight, everybody who's been through the system that we've seen has had these incredible changes that they're able to carry forward into their life. And it's not like, oh, we lay on the table, we'll wave our magic wand and if you can't walk, you'll get up and walk. We're not saying like it's a cure, but it gives you a better quality of life. And it's pretty close to sorting out so much of the trauma that's held in the body. That's what it's about. It's releasing the trauma from the body and getting the body relaxed enough that it can accept the healing. And the other thing is the co-creation, like we had with Lily, like we had with Sam and Richard, people who are joining in for their own healing and helping us as well. So the whole experience is wonderful, and I can't wait to do the next one and get the next lot of people through the system. It's just amazing.
Beautiful, Laura. Matty?
Right, I could go on and on and on about this particular subject. I'll try not to. So as a healer, from that perspective, I'm high functioning as it is. There's not a lot that I can't turn myself to. And so those skills, it's like being a racing driver who has a Ferrari. That's, if you could imagine, that's what I'm like in my day-to-day life. When you put me in front of these tools, it was like someone give me a motherfucking spaceship, and it was like, oh my God, I had to go in it and learn how to walk into it. I had to learn how to basically use the controls, and then all of a sudden you learn up and down, shoof, shoof, right? And then all of a sudden it's like left, right. So it's, for me, it's so difficult to explain. It gives me more scope, but not that I couldn't go to that scope anyway. It allows me instant access to it. So it gives me more range, more scope instantaneously. Not only that, it allows me to do what I need to do, bringing all of the certain frequencies, connections, do the skim, take off the bits that need to be taken off. But then it's the rapport that we've built with the machines themselves. And so we know where the point is, right? The machine's like, right, I've got this, guys. And that bit is very, very important as well. So it's the point where, I say, right, that's enough of the psychic stuff. Now we're just holding space, observing, and allowing the machinery itself to do what it needs to do. Just as important as all of the skillful stuff that we do. But every time that I use this technology, I grow and I grow and I grow. And that what I use on the technology, I can then translate to my mono practice as well. So it's a win-win-win-win-win-win situation. And that's from the perspective of a healer. For me, as being a healer, not the results I've seen. We could talk about that all night.
We've got a lot of time to talk about that. Thank you. David Ellis, I want to bring you in now, because so at the beginning of this dream and the start of the dream of the combined therapy, what was it like for you kind of through the years, your development and understanding experience under it? What was it like for you from the start to the now? What are some of the kind of processes you've gone through with it, realizations and so on?
This started when I met Andrew, right? This really weird psychic guy in the middle of nowhere.
I was about to say,
who had a bunch of ideas about health, right? But Andrew and I think alike on certain subjects. And I was listening to it, and I had gone very far in therapy in my own right, right? Everybody's got paper doing this course, that course, and another thing. What we are trying to do is only concentrate on the things that work definitively for everybody, not for one person or some kind of person. We are essentializing the things that work. So whenever somebody asks me about the system, as an example, what I tell them is stop for a second. Imagine what you would be like without the shit. That's exactly what it is. Imagine what you would be like without the shit. We are adding to the system, right? But that's basically what it is. We take the shit out, leaving what's left.
What
You
is
know,
the shit, David?
original you.
For those who are unaware of the shit, what is the shit?
The shit is the trauma. It's the bad diet. It's the stuff clogging you up. It's all like, because the thing about it is that a lot of people, when they hear these therapies and they think of them in isolation, okay, they think of them in isolation. So you say, oh, I go to the infrared once a week, I get a little, whatever. If your mind and your spirit is not involved in the health and healing process, what sense does it make cleaning out the body? It's kind of like saying, I'm just going to wash my body, but I'm going to leave from the neck up unwashed. So you're in the shower like this. So that's basically what that is, right? So you could spend days, weeks without like shampooing your hair, right? So that's basically what it is. I think a lot of people when they think about the healing system, what we're trying to do is make a series where you detoxify through your body, right, through your mind, and so on, and we leave what's left. When what's left is you, because when I take out the toxins underneath your skin, that is an encumbrance. And I'm talking to you watching this broadcast, you who's sitting there with your iPad or your computer and so on. I'm talking to you. Okay? You are encumbered. You just don't realize you're encumbered because it's become the new normal for you. Now, if I took the stuff out of you and you started floating around the house, right? And you realize, what the hell? I feel angelic all of a sudden. Then you would know the difference between toxified and not toxified, because you have traumas that are built in, and what people don't understand, it's a psychosomatic connection as well. So let's say, as an example, you experience a trauma from an accident or something bad when you were 3 years old. It embeds itself, it wedges itself into your body. It absolutely does. I wish Judy Innemeth was here because she could tell you a little bit more about that. You actually develop a freeze sensation inside some place in your body. That free sensation is going to be a problem for you. It's going to restrict your mobility, it's going to restrict how you move for the rest of your life. A lot of people don't realize that. And I'm going to get all personal here. There are a lot of women in the audience, so I'm going to get all personal here. Like just the sexual reaction, as an example, that by itself builds up scar tissue. Does that make any sense to you guys?
Yes.
Right? All the trauma that women experience, because we all are like, yeah, forget about the men. Forget about the men for a moment, right? Just growing up and being a woman in society, you are going to experience trauma no matter who you are.
Yeah. Almost every time I work on the light, David, I have to go. Or the system on any feminine. There's always work to be done around the sacred feminine area. It's every single one.
Yes, because they're targets in society depending on where they are, right? And they have a choice. The choice is to either harden themselves, which is never a good thing. Once you take that path, self-hardening is very hard to you traumatize yourself.
And
Okay?
and there's just a quick thing to add to that, David, along connecting to the sexual stuff, is even like yourself, say if you're in a relationship and you're denied sexuality, you're denied where they basically turn off from you, it creates a sexual rip inside of you and creates trauma into the fascia around the female areas. And I've seen it in myself, I've seen it in other people. So it's not only just that, it's when people deny, or you're in a relationship where you truly want a sexual experience and the person just saying no, no, no. That I've seen a lot of that being built up, and this is so much exploring to do here. Thank you, David.
So for the men, and I love the way this panel is laid out. You got Matty, you got a little line, a little V line, a little anyway, never mind. Right. For men who are listening to this broadcast, let me take you through an exercise. I'm about to give you a womb and a vagina, and let's just take you through a little bit of an exercise so that you understand. It is different when it is that you are a woman specifically, because the concept of receptacle or being invaded, so to speak, requires trust, does it not?
Yes.
You see the difference,
Yes.
but they don't get that. So I used to teach a class years ago, a yoga class, where I gave the men, the whole vagina and womb thing. And in the trance states, they understood. So this is how scar tissue develops, because what happens is that you have negative experiences. It doesn't have to be sexual experiences, just the thought of it, and the body goes into freeze in aspects of the body. Okay, you don't realize that the freeze is there unless there is something called a trigger that makes you realize, oh shit, there's a freeze there, right? It may be something as simple as a flinch or whatever else. And a lot of people don't get that. So they don't understand the mind-body connection. That flinching or that freeze, that frozen area in your body is not only just going to freeze for the trigger, it remains frozen forever unless you detect it and unfreeze it. And a lot of people walking around with freeze. I see it now because you guys are therapists. You can see it, right? Like they're walking down the road. I'm like, I could fix that. You frozen.
Yes.
You don't wait up to you're frozen. You're frozen right there.
That's a t-shirt right? There. I can fix that.
Right? Right there, you frozen. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be the weird person at the New Year's Eve party saying, "Hi, do you realize that you're frozen?" And it might have something to do with some trauma that you experience while they're eating their hors d'oeuvres or whatever else. You don't want to be that guy, but it's readily evident. A lot of people are walking around hampered. They don't even realize that they're hampered because it's the new normal for them. So I usually give people exercises to do to demonstrate how hampered they are. As an example, how many people watching this broadcast right now can touch their toes comfortably?
Go on, guys. Let's have a look.
Okay, so you can touch your toes comfortably. I see. How many people can stand up in front of a wall, reach behind, and turn the torso without turning the hips and put their hand on the wall? How many people can do that? Because you see, you're thinking that this is just like elementary, like lots of people can't do that, David. Let me tell you when it becomes important, however. When you're driving down the road, you want to get the purse out of the back seat, right? But while you're reaching, you sneeze and slip a disc because you lack the flexibility. But it's a simple thing that happens. So all of these things become relevant. And you know what? You are the reason why you damaged yourself is because you're frozen all up inside here, because power has been taken from you. So you've done this to freeze up yourself. So everything is like tight in here. For the women that are wearing imaginary corsets 24 hours a day, walking around sucking your stomach in, you guys are in danger of that because you'll have body positivity issues. You guys are in danger of that. Listen to this very carefully, because a lot of y'all are doing that. Y'all are walking around with the imaginary corset. That's not there. I could see it. Like, I could see the corset, but like, just let it out. Let it out, sister. Nobody cares. All right? Nobody's going to judge you. Okay, people.
David, can I segue into something here? Because you said something at the beginning, and it was such an important point. And you were saying, because we could speak all night about individual different traumas and different, because there are so many different types of things that we encounter on doing this therapy.
You sound so excited about that.
Yeah. You can see the excitement in me, and I'm so made up in it. But I put myself through the system this time way more than I have done in the past. And I am breathtaken by the personal results. And there's something that you said, that how would it feel like to be without the shit, right? And that for me, I couldn't put mine on one specific trauma. I couldn't nail it down and say this is what caused it or that's what caused it. It was a succession of micro traumas and macro traumas built up over 40 odd years that just created this background noise that permeated everything. And I wasn't even aware that it was there. Even though I still progressed, I still managed to crack on with my life. I still managed to have friendships, loves, losses, all that stuff, and live a successful life. There was this background noise there. And when I came home from York this time, and I walked in the house into my normal environment, and I realized the background noise was gone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I cried my eyes out, David, right? Hand on my heart, I cried. I said, thank you. I was like, I'm free. And I mean it. And, and it was like, I didn't realize my whole life that had been there. And to feel it gone and to see my life ahead of me is something I can't even explain to people. So when you said that one statement that, well, how do you think it would feel to not have the shit? Now, I'm a living proof of that. And I and Sam, so
I feel
what
you,
that
my
feels
brother.
like
I
is
know exactly. I got a light just outside. I'm forever on that light, I'm like a poster child for what that thing can do. All right, I've been experimenting
combination
in the lab of my own body. It's when you remove the shit and your head is clear, like it's like wind blowing through your skull, like cool breeze blowing through your skull. I know exactly what you mean, my man.
But you can see on the faces of people it is the best when you see them come out and they've got that glow where you're like, what the fuck? What? Holy shit! Look what's happened to you! And they just light up the room. They come in and the face is lighting up the room, and everyone who goes through the system at the end of it, you're like, holy shit! You look like you've lost 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah, but the best bit, Dale, is after each therapy they have that look. Holy shit, what just happened? And then we grab them and put them onto something else.
Yeah.
And then they have another one, and then they have the same look, and then we grab them and then we put them on
January,
something else.
we will.
And this is the essence of it.
Go ahead, Sam.
Can I just say as well, it doesn't stop when you drive away. Like even like now, all week, every single day, I'm getting an ancestor come in and give me tokens. My body's showing me something else that I need to work on. I'm seeing something else in my dreams every single night. Even now, I'm getting loads of different things happening to me. So it's not just whether you go 1 or 2 days or what you do. It's still happening, and it doesn't stop.
They're beautiful, Sam. And so we're going to go a lot more into your experience and Lily's experience soon. But another thing I wanted to mention, and a funny thing was, do you remember Richard's face when he got up from the Lucia light after like an hour under it? It was the funniest thing I've ever seen, and we were all literally ourselves. He came out and looked around, and went, "What the fuck?" Like his face was like holy shit! What was that? Like,
it feels like 100 years sometimes, doesn't it? You're away, and you come into a room, and you're like, "Whoa, that was distant. What the hell?"
The thing is, as well, it's not just the Lucia light is brilliant, absolutely amazing. But what makes us different, I think David alluded to at the beginning, is its combination. So we can have you on the mat like Sam did with magnets and the Lucia light, or you can be under the Lucia light and having craniosacral therapy. And craniosacral therapy works brilliantly with psychic surgery. So everything we're doing absolutely complements the other treatment that's going on. And it's following an infrared sauna and a float. So you come out. Will you tell us how you came out, Sam, from the infrared and the float before you went on the table?
Oh, what, the second day? Well, I was able to do a whole load of inner work that that I hadn't been able to face for 23 years.
Yeah.
So
Sam, can I just say, so it might be a good idea with that question from Laura to go into your start of the experience and go through your full experience of it and go through it day by day.
So should I start with the first time?
Yes.
Do. Yeah.
So I was so nervous coming in. I had to like do these breathing exercises before I come in. It was like this wave come over me. And it was, and then came in. Obviously, you guys are just the best. and so friendly and loving and kind. And yeah, and then I first of all started on the Lucia light first of all with Andrew, and I didn't have any expectations whatsoever, and so quite frankly, I hadn't even done any research. I just knew I had to come as soon as you guys put it out. I felt like I contacted you immediately, and then there was so much resistance from my body, and I didn't feel that resistance myself, and it was such a new feeling. I couldn't understand it, and then Andrew kept saying, "Just let it go," but it's really hard, difficult to understand because I didn't know it was there, so I didn't know how to let it go, if that makes sense. So then Andrew was teaching me how to really breathe through it and then let it go. And then, like I said in my testimony, Andrew then put the Lucia light on my stomach area. So then that really helped to let it go. So then I was able to then, first of all, meet my inner child and go on the journey then with my inner child. And we were playing with dollies and getting that side of me that I hadn't been in touch with for a really long time. It become way too serious, stick up my arse. And then met the lioness, and I mean, Andrew was just immense because of what he can see what the potentials are. So then with the lioness, feeling freedom and running through the fields and feeling all the sensories, like your whole body's then breathing. You like what you are like. For me, I was getting geometry shapes, and I was getting my psychic abilities on what I was seeing, but then also experiencing my body experiencing it, and I could see my pores opening up and breathing like this freedom. Then we went down and then to the river, and she showed me as the lioness, and then we went side to side together, and that was so emotional because it was heart to heart and that oneness. And I just couldn't I've never felt oneness like that before, and just the heartbeat coming together. And then this is funny as well, so then more lionesses come through to take me to the tribe to go meet everybody to be reintegrate. And two other lions came, not of this earth. They were fascinating. One like had a flower from the head, and you kind of connect each other with the flowers from the head. One was black with all these fluorescent color markings on them. And so then we were at this top of the hill, and all the lions were waiting for me, and they were roaring, but there was still that part of me that just wouldn't go. So then one of the lionesses just whacked me in the arse, so I literally nearly fell down, and then joined them, and then we all had this big huge roar. And then Dale had come in. Oh no, I had another instance. Thing is if I tell you everything, we'll be here all night, because it's like,
yeah, exactly. I was about to say that's literally just one session, and then she had multiple.
No,
so
that's
let's
not
try
even the end of the session.
the best bit.
So the Lucia light had 6.
We've got a lot of
The
time.
Lucia light, I had 6 different experiences. Should we just say
Wow.
that?
Yeah. Wow.
So then from there, then went straight, and then I remember Dennis. So again, synchronicity of spirit. I went with Dennis the first time, and then the second time he went as well. So that was really cool.
Right. So hello, Dennis. He's watching. Hey, Dennis.
Yeah, we experienced it together. He's the most beautiful, loving, kind soul. I love him. So yeah, then went on to the float, and the lionesses were teaching me how to roar in my stomach, and lots more. Then I went with the gun and this cranial sacral therapy.
What gun?
The massage gun.
Okay, good.
The bang.
Just to clarify.
Please.
Going back. AI.
Massage gun.
Yes.
A few off down the range.
Yes. A massage gun.
Yes.
And Yeah, and then going through all my fascias and my hips from where with my son, I was so worried about being a single parent, and there was all that worry in there. The next day, they were black, my hips and my ankles were black from the bruises. But again, because you're going through all this healing, when you get all your bruising and stuff coming out of your body, it heals so fast. So, like within 2 days, it's gone. So, it can seem really dense and look really dense within your body and look really traumatic, but there isn't the traumatic side to it. And
It's
then,
release of
like,
trauma. It's release of trauma.
Yes.
From
yeah,
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
it
yeah.
just heals.
We weren't rough with the gun. It's
Yeah.
is what we're saying. It's releasing something really deep, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
what I wanted to add, Sam, to that was, so we'll talk about the gun for a second and Sam's experience, because it was mind blowing what happened. So that was her first experience. We did the gun again. So she did 2 days, and we did the gun each day before and after. And it got to the last day, and I could just feel something was going to pop out. I just had this feeling something was going to happen. Then it started going in on her thighs, and she started like, could you go over what that experience was? What happened with the gun on the couch?
So the first day of the second experience, I was like, I've got quite a high threshold of pain. So I was like, I've got this. It's fine. There was areas that it was tight, but it was like, I've got this. It's okay. Day two, no, that's a different experience because more everything had come out, and then it was like it's like dragon skin with the scales and then watching it move. So then, because you've gone through all the different modalities, my psychic side was like, it was so strong that I could then see everything that I've put in my body, and I'm still getting it out now. So it's like all these blades in my legs, and so poor Dale, I kicked him. I'm very sorry.
It wasn't
Yeah,
a
she
good
did.
kick.
The first time I got kicked, I was like, it wasn't a hard kick though. It was good.
But I was able, like when it was coming out, like to use my voice and to scream. But it was because when I had the trauma, I wasn't able to be vocal. So and like the synchronicity with Great Spirit. I mean, I've got two divine masculine men holding me down with unconditional love, and it's just flipping that. It was just beautiful. And
There
I
was
couldn't have felt any more safe, any more protected, and any more cared for.
so guys, as we did the gun, it wasn't a scream of pain, like pain the gun's hurting. It was a scream of the traumas coming out of me.
Yeah,
It was such a different scream to that fucking hurts, stop doing that gun. It was
yeah,
like the scream was so, and it's the wrong word saying beautiful, but it was so unique and lovely to see it start just coming out that way, where you were like finally screaming it out of you, and I was like, holy fuck.
Can I
Yeah.
give
yeah.
people some advice? If you guys are going to
Yes.
buy one of these, this is a massage gun in case you're wondering. If you're going to buy one of these, I'm going to give you some advice. You need to target the areas. Well, depends. Actually, now that I think of it, you need to target the areas which are restricting your movement and your release. So, as an example, you could do a self check. Let's say you go into trance, you sit down in the chair, and you decide, oh, you know what? I'm just going to see what hurts. Because a lot of people have things that hurt, they
Yeah.
just don't realize it.
Mm.
If it's a bone that hurts, please don't put this on the bone, just so that we're clear. Right?
Yeah,
You
no
could put
bones.
please don't put it on the bone. Put it on the muscle that's attached to the bone. It'll eventually release it. And this also helps with the fascia that's all over your system. It's an interconnected web inside your body. And a lot of people are in restriction. And so what this does, it, well, beats you up a little bit and loosens
Yeah.
stuff up. It
Yeah.
also, if you're going to use it for emotional release, uh, I would highly suggest that you start at the belly up, start in the middle of the muscle, and then move towards the where it starts to connect
That's
with
right.
bone or some other muscle or whatever else. That would be my suggestion. But I could tell you, I keep this by my desk because You know?
Yeah. That's it. Constant
Who
use.
I talk to.
And
You
it
keep a
bloody
gun by
hurts.
your desk, David.
Yeah.
Around everywhere with my massage gun. If I meet somebody stressful, you don't have
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
stressing me out if I pull out the massage gun. Start putting, yeah. Go ahead.
You know, and it really, really hurts, man. It does. And picture this, you know, Sam had two of us pinning her down. I mean, at one point I just had to pin her down while Dale worked on her, but using two guns as well. And if any of you have had one of these guns on a high level, now imagine that day after day after day after day to the point. Because I mean, I'll let Sam continue with her story, but will say this: Sam is incredible because she actually led us through her journey as well, which is very unusual. She come to the point where she had this big aha moments and awakenings, and she was able to say, this happened, this happened, this happened, and then it guided us all together as a group into how to get this trauma out of her. And her trauma was a significant, horrific trauma that had been in her body her whole life. And so I'll let you continue, Sam.
Yeah. So, so then after the first experience, after going then with Andrew and Laura, and I have to say, having the cranial sacral therapy the second time was a total different experience to the first time because, quite frankly, I hadn't done the work. So the first time, poor Laura, like, don't get me wrong, everything that Laura brought in with the fire, with my ancestors in my stomach and what she did, was huge, but I didn't feel her hand gestures in my lower back like I did the second time. I that was totally blocked, so I never felt any of that until the second time. And then Matty and Laura after that had then did got rid of all the projections on me. Again, what you were just talking about, David, this morning, really, at the beginning, about the projections with women and things like that you don't see. So then the second time, then I had a reading with Andrew, and I always do this with my body. Like, I see like a yes and a no, and I see a light aside on one side to the other to ask a question. So I was like, so do I do the mentorship because I want to now continue with the work after the first experience, or do I go back to combined therapy? My body instantly was like, combined therapy. Just like my right hand was just like within a second of me asking, just move.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, the body's talking. And I thought, well, why don't I just do both? So I signed myself up to mentorship, and I signed myself up again for the 2 days to go back.
Yeah.
So going back then the second time was a totally different to the first. The first day was very psychedelic. When I went under the Lucy, we first of all had the infrared and then the flotation. My body instantly on the flotation on the first day, and I'd been doing floats in between since coming back from combined therapy. I'd got started doing floats, and I just noticed that my body was like, all my left hand side just kept kicking out all the time. Just again, my ignorance trapped trauma. And so I, like, when I came out, I said this. I explained what my body had been doing when we were in the float, and so they're like, "Aha!" Yeah. So then we went under the Lucia light, and then I travelled very far under the Lucia light. And what I have to say as well is, you know, the vulnerability for you to do it, but also the level of respect, because when these guys open their energy field to you, you see them and their energy field just as much as they see yours. You know, so these guys are not just giving you something; they're opening themselves up entirely, so you can see things psychically too. And I could see. I'm not going to say how, but I could see how Matty works. And afterwards, he was like, "You saw that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I saw that."
She saw pieces and parts of my infrastructure and certain ways that I function with the unseen world that no one else has ever been able to peer into, other than obviously Andrew. So I was very impressed with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's unique. Dale can be a little bit more closed. I think he knows that, like, people can pick up on him a little bit more. So yeah, so then basically we went through my dreams and just basically my unhealed trauma that I wasn't dealing with. And as I explained, I thought that if you kept going back to the event, so to speak, you were giving power and energy to it. And quite frankly, it affected me for so long. I didn't feel like that was healing. I felt like healing was forgiveness of myself and my younger self, forgiveness of the abuser, forgiveness of all the events that happened thereafter. I didn't understand how you heal, and
Well,
so Matty and Dale were sat down and were teaching me how to do that. Oh, sorry, prior to that, I had my cranial sacral therapy with Laura, and yeah, that I felt everything. And
so
Laura puts you back like in the fetus of the mother womb, and every time I think about this, it really makes me emotional. Because she's such a mother, like holding you in a certain way, and then you're being rocked like a baby. Like, I feel like I've been rebirthed. I feel like I've been reborn, and Laura does that for you, and holds such sacred space for you. They're all incredible. So yeah, that gets me every time because I'd forgotten what that felt like.
Yeah. Dale,
So,
chime in quickly.
Sam, there was a point in the second session where, as soon as I tuned into you, I was speaking to the grandmothers, and I was talking to them of how we can start, like, slowly getting out of you, and they just said, look her in the face and tell her the work's not done yet, that there's going to be something what you're avoiding. And you looked at me with disbelief, but there was like a part of you where you didn't listen to what I was saying, and I was like, no, it's still there, and there's still work what needs to be done. And they were saying, affirm that to her and look at her in the eyes, look at her soul and tell her. And I could see there was like no, I've done the work, no, I haven't done the work. But there was a change in you. I could see there was like an understanding. Then you went on into the evening and you had that experience of what you had on the evening. If you want to share that, you don't have to share that experience.
Yeah, well, I'm an open book.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't want to play light to everything I experienced with Laura as well. Like, we weaved a basket and, yeah, and then created this light basket. And then all the ancestors were then showing me, after I've weaved this basket, we're all going to have some brown liquor together. And, yeah, not time yet, because Laura was finding more peace in me, and we were walking through the pine forests, and then we had the whales, and then I got all of this whale song. It was a song woven in and around me. So then going back, sorry, yeah. Then I went back. Had some lovely time with these guys, and then went back to the hotel room. And because, so, like I said, I haven't even touched really how much has happened through every single process, because there's so much that happens in a nanosecond. So to journal was really important to me to get it all down. So I was struggling with the journaling, and the programs were kind of coming in because I'd forgotten my toothbrush, and my teeth were like really irritating me. And I was like, should I just go to the shop and just go and get a toothbrush? Anyway, I sat in the car, did a load of journaling. Then like it was almost like a timeline notch, but it wasn't a timeline notch. It was me. Everything was given to me to show me how you change your own reality.
It was a reality show.
Yeah. So basically, my car started kicking out. I didn't tell these guys this because I was like, there's responsibility to yourself and your own journey. So these guys don't even know about this section of it. So my car started kicking out loads of blue smoke, and black smoke and oil coming out of my car. So I was like, oh, right, I'm just going to turn it off. I'm going to go back to my room. I did as much journaling as I could. So then I went back to the room, and then it was like this wave. I was in exactly the same room. I was staying in a travel lodge, and it was exactly the same room as where the sexual abuse had happened to me. It was the same layout. So then all these memories then started flooding in. Then there was this black energy shadow just appeared, and so kept calling me a murderer because of the work that we'd done during the day. And murderer, murderer, murderer. And so I was like, yeah, you don't bother me anymore. I don't know what you're about, but you're actually seen now. I haven't seen you before. Go. Then it wouldn't go. Then I said that I was gonna send it something not very nice. It didn't care. So a sentinel being that I'd been through under the Lucia light came in and totally changed the whole environment and got rid of it for me. So I was able to sleep.
Boom.
And yeah, that was amazing. So then I was then laying down in bed going, what am I going to do about my car? Like, I've got to drive 3.5 hours back tomorrow, as well as driving, like Matrix, playing with you. So I was then looking up what garages are in the local area, what time they were opening, before I then went to Combined Therapy. And I was like, no, bollocks to this. I'm changing my reality. I'm not having this. So basically, I did a prayer to my ancestors, and I changed my reality, basically.
Yeah.
And so then the next day when I woke up, Andrew told me the previous night if I did loads of stretching, it would help with the gun work the next day.
Yeah.
So
Massage gun.
Sorry?
Massage gun. Sorry.
Yeah.
Massage gun.
gun.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I always call it the gun. I always call it the gun. It's far too long to say massage gun.
It is. But
yeah, but we are on YouTube. Yeah.
And just quickly on pause, just to quickly answer this question David wanted to ask it while we're on the gun quickly. We have Jason asking about the gun. Where's the question, guys? There we go. Any advice about the locations on the body to begin with these guns for MFR releases? Mr. Ellis, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Okay. So let me just isolate my hearing. So guys, when it comes to the sections of the body that you're going to need to pay attention to, the first thing you're going to need to pay attention to is the way stress works. So stress works in the way of blocking your ability to fight it is the first priority that stress has. It's the worst kind of disease that there is. So it's going to constrict the nerves coming off of your brain, basically. Here, trapezius, the top of your trapezius and your brain stem is going to harden and tighten. The reason why that is because what happens is a literal biofeedback up into your head. And what happens is a traffic jam starts happening in your head. The brain fog, the tightness that you feel, the number of thoughts that are causing a traffic jam inside your head, they're all attributed to if somebody was holding you behind your head and squeezing. So for those of you who are listening to this broadcast, do a little bit of a self-check, right? Simple self-check. Look left, look right, look up, look down, the yes-no test, and tell me where you're feeling the tension. Okay? Because I'm going to tell you on one of these sides, they ain't so equal if you're listening to this broadcast right now. Okay? One of these sides, that's the first thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do is the middle of the trapezius. This muscle that's here, that's going up to your brainstem, you're only seeing part of it. The rest of it is in the middle of your back. And so it kind of tightens and clutches the middle of your back. And what that feels like, for those of you who are listening to this broadcast, is that your heart is constricted. So some of you may not be feeling that, but for those of you who have issues around that area, that is going to lock down that area. And I could pretty much, you could test it, do a little self check with me. You're going to just, not through your mouth, through your nose. See how much expansion you have in your chest area. Is it feeling tight? Does it feel like it can expand more, but it just won't? If it feels like it can expand more, but it just won't, the whole of this is about softening. A lot of you walk around very hard. You don't realize it. You're not fluid anymore. You're not like water. Your body's not like water. It's kind of like, yeah, it doesn't matter whether you have muscles or whether you don't have muscles. That has nothing to do with it. If you are in balance, everything feels like water. So if you inhaled and you felt a restriction inside here, you're going to need some work. You're going to need to work on some stuff. And of course, the lower back, which is the hip area that you guys have a lot of issues with. So from the sexual organs all the way down to issues of support that come around the back and where the fascia ends, because you don't have muscles all the way up and down your back. There's a little floating section in the lumbar region that's here. And if that is tight, your whole world is tight, your whole world. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of a self-check here. So if you're sitting on a chair, you're just going to space your feet out like this and bend forward. You know, let the hips rotate in. Any slight discomfort that you feel inside that rotation that you are making towards the ground to put your hands on the ground will indicate a restriction inside there. So you ask me, what are the 5 main parts? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to take the massage gun. I'm going to give myself a treatment right now, fairly quickly, in 1 minute flat.
It's a new healing system, the quickie system.
The quickie system. This hair. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going to put this one here. On the other side, loosen up my brainstem. And I'm going to do a stretch on the neck like this. While I'm tilting my head this way, I'm going to drop my shoulder down to expose that trapezius. And I'm going to go to the other side, tip. While I'm depressing the shoulder and tilting the neck. Then I'm going to take the gun, bring it to the middle of my back. That's if I have the flexibility, and I'm assuming that you'll have the flexibility to get this done, or just get a bigger massage gun with a longer handle. Okay? Or have somebody else do it. Then I'm going to take this. That's 3 so far. I'm going to start on the flexor in the front of my leg, because I'm not even getting up to do this, because I have work to do. All right? And I'm going to go to the other flexor on the front of my leg, and I'm going to go around the sides and on the top of the back, and everybody's looking at me like, this man has lost his goddamn mind. Yeah, I'm not getting up to do this. Are you bad? Right, so here you go. And you're massaging your glutes. And I've just done some basic first aid. Restoring a flow to my nervous system. And then I'm going to just sit up. I'm going to expand my chest, and I'm going to do release. And I've just reset my nervous system. Does that make sense?
Yes. Beautiful, David.
Brilliant.
Beautiful. So we'll continue on. I think we've got the last day with Sam, then we're going to go into Lily's experience. So if you want to continue to that last day and what happened in the hotel, go into the last day and so on.
Yeah, so then the next day I just felt really sad and emotional. I had that basically what my ancestors showed me, that I hadn't been doing the work. So I got to the house and Matty greeted me, and it was perfect, because just like for everything that was going on, explained it all to him, and he gave me some great tools and sent me his ancestral revocation, which I've been doing loads, and it's so powerful. And then Matty and Laura came and explained to them what had been going on. So then but then straight after that we went to the Lucia Light and then did the ancestral contract revocation with Matty. There's a lot of light language from my ancestors that come through with that too. We were all co-creating, as well as Mattie's. And then I was in the spiritual court of equity, and that was amazing, seeing everybody. Like, there's a lot of people in the spiritual court of equity and a lot of beings. It's super powerful, and all that charge, all that polarity, all that good, bad, and ugly doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist within me anymore either. It's just neutral. It's just all in the spiritual court of equity. To find that level of peace is my ancestors came in when I was driving home today about doing the show today, and they said, if you could just tell people the peace that you've found, and if every single person finds peace and love, just imagine what this world's going to look like.
One person at a time.
Yeah, the level of peace that I feel is incredible.
Yes, amen.
You can see it in your face.
Thank you. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
It shows.
So there were some more stories, because there was some very significant. There was a very significant release that you had with Dale and Laura upstairs on the mat.
Yeah. So then I'll breeze through quite quickly. So then we went to the flow where I did some more inner work, and then came back, and then did cranial sacral therapy with Laura and Dale, and that I literally felt everything that Laura was doing and holding space for me, and Dale. Like, Dale's got these amazing antennas, and like I could feel them all over my body and where they were going and when. So basically, my soul, myself, my body, I was just crying. I've never cried like it. These just soul tears, getting it all out. And it just kept coming and coming. And even like Dale said afterwards, I kept going at a certain point and then restarting, because even I myself, because there was no charge or polarity there in getting it all out, I was thinking, oh, I must be done now. But it just kept coming.
So from my experience of doing it, and I was on the phone to David, Andrew, and Laurie last night, and I talked about it briefly, but I was quite tired when I talked about it. For me, so as I do soul surgery and psychic surgery, there's a reading energy about each session where it's like an orchestra, where I know where to go to the next part, and I'm just reading where to go next, and the next part, and all for me was her. It was starting on the feet and a buildup of energy from the feet to the glutes, and I was like, as I was going back, I was like, do I have to do it again? Then finally, as Laura was doing the cranial work, and the pulse was, the expansion contraction was going on there, but it was hilarious, because as soon as I started going up, she let off a tiny little bit of a noise, and I went, and they were like, go back again. The next time I did it, was a bit of a bigger noise. Then I kept going back, and on the fourth time, I got up to the feminine part, and all of a sudden, the wail came out. The wail of the trauma finally started releasing, and it was beautiful to see that. Then, as Laura was doing the work on the head and the cranio, all the area there, and the neck and the occiput and so on, I was like, right, you have to go up and start releasing it, because Laura's starting to release something, and you need to open the kind of like plug. It was like a plug energy, where I had to go up and open this plug and just put a bit of energy in extra. And all of a sudden, she sat up and she started being sick, but it wasn't sick. It was purging sickness, where all of this, the mucus came out. And I went in with my hands and went right down her throat, and I was pulling this stuff out of her. And I just looked at Laura after, and I was like, what the fuck are we doing here?
That's because, with the CST, it opened up the avenue of expression.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
and for me, Laura, just a quick one before I finish. It was your cranio combined with the soul surgery has blown my mind, sister. Like the combination of the cranio and soul surgery working together. I've never experienced anything like it. Like I can reach different layers from what you're doing to what I'm doing, and that was one of the great experiences of that week. Was how skillful you are as a practitioner, and what you're doing, and the avenues you're going through, and to be able to work alongside you and have something like that, which we both helped her get into that space. We both did our magic. My hat goes off, and yeah, it was an amazing experience, Laura. Thank you for
Well, thank you, Dale. That was, and thank you, Sam, because you had the
And thank
courage to
you.
step up and do it. You had the courage to step up and do it.
yes.
You did. And look now, look at the results. And it was an absolute co-creation with all of us and the AI.
Trillions of other beings as well.
And
That
the
room is packed,
ancestors,
right?
yeah. The
That
room
room is
was packed. Yeah,
Yeah.
by the time we finished with Richard, it was overflowing. Wasn't it? Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was huge. Yeah.
Beautiful. So
Thank
we're going to
you.
go on to Lily now. Hello, Lily. The
Thank you.
talking stick is given to you, my sister.
Oh, thank you very
Oh,
much.
yes.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing all that. It was like really emotional to hear your experience, and yeah, wow, thank you. So my experience, it was like a couple of months ago now, so I had to like go back into my journals and read, and I also was reflecting on all like the integration time I had as well afterwards. But I guess like where it started for me was the container of the combined therapy. It felt like it expanded out of that room. And the night before, I dreamt of Matty and Laura. And so I felt like the experience started before I entered the room. And in the float tank itself, I could feel it entering the float tank, like what was to come. And yeah, I started getting sensations in my body and visions as well of what was to come, like in the room together. And so the float tank itself, like I've had a few floats, and I guess for that one, I got very relaxed and very energized from it as well. So there's like a lot of energy running through my body, getting ready to like lay on the mat with you guys. And when I entered and you were both there, I remember lying down, and I think the releasing process started almost immediately before it had all even started. I think like Matty placed one magnet on like my solar plexus, and I started having releases, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like
You didn't
that was
stop.
where did that come from? And I remember as well, because I've never experienced Alicia light, having the light turned on. I remember just hysterically laughing when the light turned on, just being like, "What am I seeing? What even is this?" I had no reference point for what it was. Just it's so unique in and of itself. So there was this ecstatic feeling of like, okay, this I'm completely surrendered. That I was completely surrendered instantly. There was not I didn't have a choice. I was just like, I'm here. Just do what you will, basically. It was just like just flow. Let's go for
Yeah.
it. Because it was all just so it was like wow, I'm so open to what was coming. And I think the beautiful thing that I experienced, I think it was because I just had Matty and Laura holding the space for me, and you as a duo are so harmonious in the sense that you hold this beautiful masculine and feminine polarity in such strength. And so having that in the room just it brings this really unique experience of just feeling really really held, but also able to go really really like deep and powerfully like head on into the healing. And yeah, it was absolutely exceptional experience. And there were moments, the height of it for me were the moments where I guess when Matty and Laura are working together, it's like an orchestra, and I could feel the orchestra of their energies moving through me, and I could feel the energy moving up and down my body, and then the light that I was seeing, the geometric patterns would synchronize in my vision. So there'd just be this beautiful wave of geometry and the energy and the releasing, and all you can do is surrender to that. There's nothing you can do. And it was interesting because it was much more physical than I thought it was going to be. And usually I'm very very visionary when I have healings, and I had no internal vision. It was just the physical experience, just the experience of the geometry. And I, it was huge. And I think afterwards I said that was akin to any sort of plant medicine experience, or like the end of it was like instantly as strong as any of the deepest healing experiences I've had in my life. And it was just like sudden.
There was so afterwards, Lily, we were around the fire, and me, Andrew, Laura, and Matty, and you were around the fire, and Toby and your children, and just the look of your face when you came, and you were like, "Holy fuck!" It was you. It took you
When I put
20
those
minutes.
spots on your shoulder.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
yes. Well, welcome to the show, Andrew. How are we doing?
Yeah,
Hey, good. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you, brother. Nice to see you.
You know, it's interesting. You were saying it's as powerful as any plant medicine, and from very early on, I had also nicknamed the system the no drug mystical experience. And every person that's gone through has agreed in their own way. Yes, it's a no drug mystical experience, meaning you're activating your own internal body chemistries to reach that energy that we naturally produce DMT, we naturally produce cannabinoids in our body. It's already natural. And when we have the moment where we have high levels of DMT, we're in that dreamy state. And all the science proves it. We produce DMT in large volumes when we're having our uniquely mystical experiences.
It was interesting as well, Andrew. I spoke to Bob today, and Bob came on the combine not long ago, and it was so as they're not competing in any way, but he was like that day experience I went through was I enjoyed it more than ayahuasca. It had such a better experience under the light without any drugs, and there's no competition there. But he was saying it changed my life more than the ayahuasca did, and to have that validation, and obviously they're both totally different things, was just like, wow, this is just, yeah, it's inspirational. And continuing on.
We had that one lady, didn't we, that said, and she was, you know, it was somebody from Laura's, acquaintances that said, and she'd never had any spiritual practice at all, had no really spiritual background, but she said once she'd finished, the experience was akin to giving birth to her children or marrying her husband. And this is someone who had
my
no
daughter-in-law.
spiritual awareness.
Yes.
And that's how she felt about it. I was just blown over by that.
And the other thing about Sam and Lily and like I are all doing a medicine journey is you surrendered to it and you do the work beforehand. And both of you had done that, and both of you surrendered on the table, and you actually co-created, both of you, which gave you really tremendous experience. Because you had your experience on the table was not the same as Sam's, obviously, because it was different sort of stuff you were releasing, Lily. But right from the beginning, you were affected. You were joining in as well. You weren't just saying nothing and and cut off. You were totally involved in the whole creation of it, which was beautiful, which gave you such a great experience.
Yeah, I think when I went in, I was nervous because I didn't know what to expect, and I knew it was going to be big. But when I was in the float tank, in my mind, I knew that in order to get the most out of it, I had to just say, I trust you completely. I surrender, and I receive all the healing that's available to me in the moment. So that's what I kept saying in my mind, because I knew my body would open more and release more if I just kept saying, I trust you. And like Laura, you make that very, very easy, because you have just this such beautiful mothering, and I felt cradled, like as you said before, and when you sung through the whole of it, and your voice kind of multiplied, so it sounded like there were hundreds of ancestors in the room at points, hundreds of grandmothers all around. It was like this extension. It's very, very, very beautiful, and I really appreciate you being there, because having that feminine cradling was so healing to me, and feeling that holding from you is very beautiful, and I will always have that. So thank you.
Oh, thank you,
Lily.
I want to add another layer here.
Yeah.
So the experience that you went through, the experience that Sam went through. Imagine if we had an EEG, an EKG, and an ECG hooked up to you. Skin resistance, blood pressure, body temperature, brainwave function, all measuring the unique experiences. Now, David and I, when we were in Barbados 4+ years ago, came up with this next process where we're going to include that in the system. But just imagine having that validating data that you're going through a purge or going through an experience, and there's measurable experience, a measurable thing in the EEG or EKG or ECG that's showing you going through the somatic release.
Mm-hmm.
David, Expand on what the ECG and the EKG and the EEG could do for people who are more towards the science and not towards the woo woo, or in the woo woo, and how that could help grow the next phase of healing.
When we decided to create this system, we didn't want a system that is hit or miss. Hit or miss is like it works for some people, it doesn't work for some people, right? Some people have some experiences, some no. We don't want to afford naysayers the luxury of that. So what we built into the system from the very beginning was measurable results that can be replicated over and over again, or turned up or turned down, as the case may be. So, for those of you who don't know, an EEG is an electroencephalogram. It measures what your mind and your brain is doing in any one situation. So, for those of you who are spiritual and who meditate or do whatever, what happens is that the machine reads what's going on inside of you while it is that you are um, getting a treatment. An electrocardiogram is basically measuring the cardiopulmonary reactions, the oxygen levels of your skin, these kinds of things, your pulse, and so on, so that we could see what's going on inside the body when the treatment is going on, and we could see what's going on inside your head when the treatment is going on. Which means, for those of you who don't know, when you are awake and listening to this broadcast, you have all sorts of little random spikes. You're thinking about your grocery list. You're thinking about lunch, for those of us who haven't had lunch, or breakfast for that matter. Not that I'm mentioning any names, right? Right. You're thinking about all of these things at the same time. And so your brainwave pattern is spiking. But if you were to go into a meditative trance, well, if you were to sublimate, so to speak, then there's a regularity that in the electrical pattern of what's going through your head. And that is where the body does repair. It does repair then. It doesn't do repair while you're thinking about all these things, right? And so for a lot of people, what we're trying to do, for those of us who are already meditators, we're trying to drop you somewhere around 16% below sleep, because sleep is when your body repairs itself. We want to increase the healing manifold, and it also repairs your mind. That's what dreams do. Dreams are your mind repairing itself and resetting itself. It's your body's continuously trying to throw off shit. Your mind is continuously trying to throw off shit, but there's so much of it that it needs help. Really, it does. Because we're not living back in the Middle Ages where you could just go outside, pick a carrot, munch on the carrot. Life is simple. Nobody's bothering you in the middle of nowhere. You live in a place where there's a lot of psychic attacks on a daily basis that you're trying to ward off. People are giving you dirty looks. People are giving you all sorts of weird micro shit coming at you. And at the end of the day, your body's tired and it continuously tries to throw shit off. So what we're doing with the system is removing the shit now, not over a period of time, 8 hours of sleep. Now, like right now. And we're trying to remove like because it's a backup system. Imagine that your body and your mind is a septic tank and it's backed up for weeks. So what the system is trying to do is try to get the bulk out of it so that you get closer to a clean septic tank. Okay, and that's basically what it is. So what the EEG and the ECG is going to be able to do for us is build that bridge that we talked about 4 years ago on a show in Boulder, Colorado, between the woo-woo people and the hardcore scientific people. Enough of this nonsense where they're on one side and you're on one side, right? Because the truth of the matter is, if the scientific people wanted to know what spirit was about, they would literally make the effort. If the woo-woo people wanted to know what the whole scientific thing was about, they'd make the effort. Well, don't worry, we have you covered. We're going to be doing it ourselves.
It's great to do that, David, because like someone who did, obviously Wim Hof's done that, hasn't he, with his techniques and all of the oxygen. He's actually brought the science and the spirituality together, and that's created a huge market within the world because everyone is like, holy shit, there's science to back this up, and there's
We
more
need the
people.
bridge. We need that
Yes.
bridge.
I remember talking to you, David, about that bridge, and that data is the bridge.
That
That
data is
data,
going to be the most
like,
valuable things. We have two people on the show who've been through the system, right? Boy,
three,
I would have
Richard's here.
loved to put an EEG on your head. Sorry, that sounds so forward. I'm sorry. I would have loved to have disconnected you to an EEG to let people see that it's not just nonsense.
Right.
It works.
Imagine if that whole journey of Sam, the healing that you went through, at this moment on the clock is right when you were going through the purge that you were going through, or the how whatever set in for you. You could watch the actual brain waves restructure your brain from trauma to normal.
Oh, by the way, traumatized people have a certain brainwave pattern. They do.
Yes, from trauma to normal. Instant fix. That's what we're talking about, David. That instant fix.
Now we do have a biofeedback system on the PEMF, Matt,
Yep.
right? But that's not enough data. We need to see what's actually going on inside the individual as they go from therapy to therapy. And
I'm
that
going to go
is,
back so you can hook me up next time.
I will be there in January. I will.
She'll be there, we're all hooked up through wires.
Actually, there's very little. The headset is wireless. Okay, it just literally
Oh
just
yeah,
sits
wow.
on your head like this. It's wireless, so it's like wearing a baseball cap. Okay, and the rest is ones on your finger, and the rest are just two paddles on your heart. That's it.
Oh,
So it's not invasive at all. It's not invasive at all.
Yeah, and it's the information that it's going to give you is going to tell you a lot about where you are. For the spiritual people who are doing the work, I'm going to say this, and this is going to sound funny. If you want to find out for sure if you're doing the work, go buy yourself an EEG, okay? Right? Go buy yourself an EEG. I'm doing the work, it's having an effect, right? No, right? Go buy yourself an EEG, get yourself some daily readings, right? And it'll tell you where you are. It will tell you where you are. Because this is not about talking anymore. This is about actually doing the work and seeing the results. So it will actually tell you. But we are going to add that to the system. That's definitely what we're going to do, because there's no point in bringing people to the system if we can't say this is hard data that this has actually happened, this has transpired with them. And that's one of the best things. And we're also going to introduce the concept of aftercare. Remember this, because that feeling that you guys have, that you're talking about, we want that to be a permanent lock-in, right? We want that. We want those effects to be locked in permanently, and
That
we have a plan for that.
that aftercare is so vital. So Sam, after you finished your first time going through the system, you had a different reaction than the second time you went through. And if
Yeah.
you had some follow-up advice and care, you would have processed it differently too. And the same with your
Yeah.
first one, and same with you, Lily, too. If you had something that kept you on a unique track of keeping the healing that you're going through not just in check, but allowing it to expand as you're further and further from the actual date in which you went through the healing.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me it was knowing how you heal.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't got, like I said, there was so much polarity there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I didn't realize, like, go in the spiritual court of equity and zero minus infinity, and there's no charge, no nothing to it. Like now, I've gone back to myself every single day, and I'm a totally different. And if she's a totally different person already.
Mhm.
And I went to my future, like you told me, Andrew. That was interesting too.
What did you see in your future?
She was in the Pine Woods. She'd already created a sacred fire, and she knew we were coming.
Wonderful.
And she'd made us healing soup for doing the work, so she's where she is now.
Yeah, she had the tea and biscuits ready for you.
Yeah, and connected all the multidimensional selves, so they'd all put ingredients in the soup.
Ah, wonderful.
And we're
Yeah.
probably going to go to that air deck to show people what I'm talking about.
Oh, wonderful. This would be a
Yeah.
great time to show
Yeah.
that. So, Lily, I want to real quick while you're preparing that. Lily, you went through a really, really powerful healing with Dale and with myself when we welded your spinal column. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then afterwards, you found yourself in a white forest, and then you were skiing in a white mountain, and all those little synchronicities that happened afterwards. Can you share with people how the mystical came to your own reality, and you're like, I was in a white forest, and now I'm skiing in this white place, and how that affected you too?
Yeah, it was pretty funny because in the healing we did together, I had like a really strong vision of going into my dream world for the first time, and my like unique dream space, and it was beautiful, and my children were there, and there was the fire that we were tending, and I remember saying, it's beautiful, it's snowy, like it's there's snow everywhere, and it's just falling, and it's so clean and gorgeous. And then like maybe I can't remember, maybe
Week later,
after the healing happened, I said, oh, we're going actually to the French Alps tomorrow for the first time with the kids. And you were like, have you not made this connection? And so I had my whole integration process away from my home, which was really interesting. And I was in somewhere I'd never been before, which was really good actually. And I was doing something really adventurous with my family for the first time, up in a high altitude, which was really cleansing. And I got to just spend a lot of time in this exact space that I'd seen in the vision. And so I had that experience that was part of the integration process for me. And I could take that high altitude energy and then come back to my home space a different person. So it's actually really useful to integrate in a different place. And really funny, the synchronicity. And it's funny when you don't make the connection
yeah.
and someone else sees it.
Andrew came with the grandmaster of the obvious again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, here's your hat. Put this on. Yeah,
I was like,
there it is.
All right, David,
So-
you want to show them this?
Sure, you could just expand it on. All right, so guys, this is what light is. I'm just going to use my little mouse thing. I'm in edit mode on this air deck. So wide spectrum balanced light, it decreases oxidative stress. It has a relaxing and centering effect on the body. It regulates some circadian rhythm. That is when you fall asleep and when you wake up. It improves gene function. For those of us whose genetics have decided to not cooperate, that's what it does, and it increases motivation. And of course, blue light, which a lot of us are subject to, does exactly the opposite. But this is what I'm talking about here. This is your brain right now. See those little peaks here? That's that here would be the grocery list. That here would be picking up the kids. This would be something along the lines of uh what what show should I watch? I can't find anything on Netflix. Probably the whole thing here is I can't find anything on Netflix. This is your brain under the Lucia light. Uniformed. This is what we're hoping. So this is an EEG diagram that will show you what's going on in the mind of the individual and so on as they go through different different phases of sublimation. Okay. Of course, we'd use infrared, and we're going to probably add ultrasound as well to the system. That is the next movement that we are making, but I'll let Andrew tell you about that. This air deck was put together by myself, and if you scanned the barcode at the beginning of this broadcast, you will have access to it if you can stand to hear my voice for 20 minutes or 10 minutes, I can't remember. And of course, this was our first little clinic, our first little lab, right, with the mat and so on. And this was our little lab that we set up. This was our first infrared sauna and the first flotation tank that we ran through. And just taking you through, you guys through. I am clicking the wrong screen. Okay, right. And these are the magnets that we're talking about. These magnets were put on this guy who is a politician. Yeah, we figured that he needed grounding. Right? All right. So he's a politician. And yeah, we did a lot of stuff. This is the aftercare that we're talking about, which is going to allow you to be able to learn about different therapies and so on, and how to regulate yourself. So, guys, if you have the time, go check out the air deck. This is one of my best photos, really. I love this stuff. Right. So, go check out the air deck and let us know what you think. This is the Lucia light, right? I believe that Richard has a Lucia light as well. So, go check out the air deck and let us know what you think. Okay.
Have we heard from
Now that
Richard,
you all
guys?
had, you could able to get access to that. I'm not sure if he's here now.
I think he's having a bit of trouble getting on, guys. He keeps
Right,
coming
okay.
in, something's going on with his audio, or he can't connect. But yeah.
So those peaks, those regularized peaks that you're looking at, is somebody who is engaging in some sort of spiritual practice. That those regularized peaks, because when you are in focus, that's what your brain does. And when I say focus, I mean whether you're doing Reiki, whether you're doing stuff, if you're doing it really at its optimal, that's what your brain does. It regularizes itself, which theoretically is how your brain should always be. But due to the fact that there's such a thing called stress, people might cut you off in traffic. The price of living is going up. These are the things that keep your brain in flux.
So earlier, David, you're talking about ultrasound therapy.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, ultrasound therapy, just like you would use ultrasound to see the baby inside a womb, ultrasound waves can penetrate similar to infrared, but they penetrate far deeper and they can deconstruct scar tissue, erase scar tissue, penetrate the muscles at the most deepest levels, and get the deepest releases out of the muscles, which will include some somatic releases and emotional releases. And the way ultrasound works, it's a gel that they put on there. They have a little wand that goes to the various hertz, and then you go on the different parts of the body. Now, what we're going to do is incorporate an entire treatment from the top of your neck to the bottom of your ankles and to the sides of your hips, where all the pressure points are, so that everything, all scar tissue that you could have, will be fully deconstructed. Then you're going to go to an infrared chamber. Then you're going to go into a sauna, a flotation tank. So you're going to have 3 forms of scar tissue body reduction. So that means no matter how bad you could be the humpback of Notre Dame, we're going to remove that hump. All that scar energy from abuse, etc., can go away and stop blocking you from the healing. Okay, not
Yes,
everyone can handle heavy touch or massage guns, and that's why we want to include the ultrasound therapy.
I want you guys to know that when we're talking on this broadcast, we're not talking off the top of our heads. We use our bodies as the lab. I damage myself regularly on purpose because I just want to see where it comes from, how I could bounce back a lot of the times. And I'm going to tell you, ultrasound does work to heal quickly. So my typical day would be, I'm going to wake up in the morning. That sounded bad. I damage myself regularly. I go to the gym. Okay. Right. And then I come back and I'm hurting. I keep telling Andrew, I commit ass homicide. I come back home, pull out the gun. Right. Or if it's really, really bad, I'm going to pull out the ultrasound and, soften those tissues up. And then I'm going to run the rejuvenation cycle on the mat. And I'm going to reset my mind with the Lucia light, right? So when you see me, and I could actually speak right now, that wasn't me a few hours ago, okay? It was me crawling on top of a table slowly, okay? So the thing about it is that we use the stuff on ourselves, and we figured that that would be the best way to figure out what the weaknesses in the systems are, if they are, and what we need to add and what we don't need to add. Okay. And we're going to be making the experience more pleasant as we go along. But definitely, this is something that I'm so excited about this stuff.
May
Right.
I
Every
ask
time.
a question to that as well?
Go ahead.
Sorry. So, for someone, my sister has had many valves changed with her heart. So
Mhm.
she's been told that because of the scar tissue, she'd only be able to have one more donor valve. Would that help with that, Andrew? With the scar tissue build up like that? I think
Oh,
Andrew's gone.
Can I answer that? You want to answer that question, Andrew? You want me to answer that question?
I
Are you
couldn't
good?
hear it. I couldn't hear it. My screen went blank for a section. My connection was bad. What was it?
okay.
So my sister, she's got all array stuff with her heart, but she's had a number of valves changed, and they've now told her that she's on her last one because of the scar tissue. So would that help with that?
She's had bowel surgery.
She's
Valves.
got
The
like
mitral
Had
donor
valve.
heart,
valves
They
on
heart
her
valve.
they
heart.
changed the mitral valve in her heart and
Okay.
the
Yeah,
other
yeah.
valves.
Yeah,
Um, it can help. It won't do everything that she wants because there's so much else that has to be addressed before you would get to that.
yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I mean, when there's heart damage like that, there's emotional heart damage that has to be dealt with too. The trauma release from the pericardium is so vital.
Wow.
That's where
Can
the
I make a
ultrasound therapy
suggestion?
would be. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Can I make a suggestion?
Mhm.
So, what you're describing is what the people talk about when they say circling the drain. That that hardening in the area. Whenever I talk about this system, I keep talking about, and I repeated it about 4 or 5 times in the show so far. This hardening people do. Okay, this hardening. You're supposed to be free. That came out so corny. I'm going to try to make that sound better. Like the lamp doesn't want to be around me right now. Right. You're
Light worker
supposed to
David came
you're
Light
out.
worker
supposed to
David
be
has entered the
your
building.
natural state is to be free. Free, free, free. And that's not just a statement of inside your limbs. I believe Judy Nemeth is actually on the chat right now. But I wanted to even internally, you're supposed to be free. Your digestive system, everything is supposed to be free and unencumbered. What happens with regard to people is that the mind can literally destroy you and harden you up, every part of you, every tissue, every muscle, sinew, fiber in your body. What is happening to your sister these are the things that are going to help. She is going to have to soften the diet, literally, that she is eating. Okay, start with that. She is going to have to learn to breathe properly. And when I say breathe, I just gave you an exercise earlier on. If your sister did that, she would feel the restriction. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Because
perfect sense.
your respiratory system is linked to your cardiac system, which is the cardiopulmonary system that we call it, okay? Heart and
Yeah.
lungs. So she might need to actually learn breathing exercises, and she needs to soften,
Mhm.
because circling the drain means I worry about it, it gets worse.
Yeah.
It gets worse and I worry about it,
Yeah.
right? But I'm trying to imagine like you are being held, held inside and outside.
Mhm.
Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Let it in, let it out, relax. Eat
Yeah.
freely. Eat some leaves, green, green leaves, and so on, and keep your digestive system unencumbered, because there's a number of things that affect what you're talking about. Your sister has to get more freedom in the chest, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm just going to use my intuitiveness here. Your sister is closing down herself. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she needs to open back up.
Also, with any work you're going to do, the tailbone and the back of the neck will be the places that you're going to start with so she can build new foundations. The damage to the back of her neck from the emotional loss and the damage to her heart is reflected in the tailbone, and the tailbone reflected in the neck. And
Correct.
they're going to have to do reconnective energetic surgery so the neck and the tailbone can communicate through the spinal column. Then the back part of the heart is going to create, let's just say, a dense, solid chunk that we would eventually turn, it will eventually turn into a psychic cyst. And
Or
that's
she can
something
get
that
herself an SE practitioner or massage therapy and tell the massage therapy the following words. My sister's mediastinum is hardening. Can you fix it? Tell her
exactly
that.
Or she can just come to combined therapy.
that
Oh,
too.
yeah, that is true. Yeah. There is that as well. Right. But for honestly, right now, your sister needs to do a huge reset in her life. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
And I always say when you're circling the drain, the way out of it is to let it flow with the tide and then flow out of it. Okay. It's like a whirlpool effect. The way you escape it is to go with it and let the energy pull you out of it. But right
Yeah.
now, with regard to your sister, that situation, with regard to the constant replacement of valves, she just needs to not worry about it. That's the first thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like, Lily, how's your neck?
Really bad.
Mm, how bad is it on a scale of 1 to 10?
um, 10 is like extreme
Yes.
unmanageable pain. Probably like 3 or 4, maybe, but it's just my shoulders and neck have been bad for a long time because of children and
Mhm.
just hauling them around.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm. What else is going on with you?
And also the base of my back as well. It
Ah, there we go.
has been hard
Ah, there
since
we go. So I
children. Yeah.
suspect you. Yeah, yeah. Can I
Literally,
get some suggestions?
tell them about some of the rolfing sessions that you went
Oh my
through.
goodness. Yeah. So
Eh?
when I first started working with Dale, and he advised that I should go for like weekly rolfing for a period, I think it was 10 weeks. Oh my goodness. It
I
was,
told you that. I told you
yeah,
that.
yeah. It was I mean,
Painful.
incredible pain, like for just a lady, like just pressing with her finger on like certain points. But the release you get from rolfing is so incredible, so incredible. And yes, it really, really works. And
Remember
I
what
should
they
say,
did to your jaw? Remember what they did to your jaw?
oh my
Mm.
goodness, yeah, the face work with rolfing. I mean, they massage like the inside of your mouth, up in your nose, like high up in your nasal passages. Um, it's unbelievable. Like I could, she told me after she worked on my nose that my voice was an octave lower than when I came in.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a remarkable thing to do, and yeah, it works so well. And I've been telling everyone about it because I'd never even heard about it. I didn't even know it was a thing. So
Okay.
So,
And all this time you were dealing with, your issue with your mother. Okay. And the journey that you went through with that too. All of that's related. Okay. And what's going on with your neck now?
I think it's just it's less my neck. It's more just where you released my shoulder. When I was with you. It just winds back up again. And I think it's from sleeping and breastfeeding and holding my children.
Also,
Yeah.
in from Chinese acupuncture, it's your governor vessel, your governing vessel. Your governing vessel has stagnation in it. And yes, it is from being a mom with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. But It also represents the spiritual journey that you've gone through, the fast parts, the slow parts, and the energies that you're able to process when you're not being a mother and you're trying to be a spiritual person on the healing journey and discover how those skills and talents are going to affect the future you. That's why that the particular spot is being bound up in you right now, because it's a reminder that there's many yous in the journey here. Okay, because you can put the kids down, and Toby can take care of them for X amount of time, so you can go and do your spiritual work. You like doing your work with all the different fabrics and working with all the different stuff that you want to do and create with. And then the balancing of that. And then there's, well, I'm just going to cook today and just be a mom. Each of those are bound up in your governor vessel. And when you begin to release the governor vessel on a very regular basis, you have a lot more raw fuel to burn that's a higher miles per gallon than the fuel you're using. David, what can you let people know about the governing vessel? You're muted.
Okay, so like the name suggests, it's the governing vessel. So what it does, for most people, it creates a domino effect. If something is wrong, it begins to domino. Okay, and so in Chinese medicine, and I wish Sean Bibi were here, he could confirm this. Right, you work on the governing vessel because it's going to be one of the major access points between what's going on upstairs and what is being referred down. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
Okay, so as an example, I've been watching your neck since the start of this broadcast. Sorry, like I do that stuff. I have a problem with that, right?
Me too. I have the same problem. I can't help it.
Right. So, Lily, my suggestion to you, you need to stretch that side of your neck, and you might need to depress the shoulder and slowly stretch the neck in the opposite direction, right? Because you want to create a little bit of freedom in the neck and the lower back. So I'm going to guess that you're going to experience pain when you lean forward and you take your finger on the tip here. It's going to refer pain down your lower back. Yeah. Yeah. So you're going to need some heat. You're probably going to need a little bit of work, right? You're going to need a little bit of work, and you shall be fine, because what you've done is dysfunctional. You can reverse it.
Yep.
But you have a lot of stuff going on in your head that you also need to dump. So, Lucia, like everyone, you have a lot of stuff going on in your head which you also need to dump. You're making your head heavy.
Exactly.
And
You just got to lift up the dump truck of the skull, so the skull lifts up and just dump it out.
And it shows you how important body work is, just as important as meditation and the spiritual journey. You've got to do body work. You've got to have it all balanced. And for you, Lily, having that on a regular process is really going to evolve you on going to see someone regularly after maybe like 3 weeks off, then start it again. And it's the same for me. I build up pressure, tension so easily. Like if I leave my legs for 10 days and I go back to them, I'm like, holy fuck, it's literally like concrete again. So there is that awareness there where we have to continue this work as a process, not just seeing the combined therapies one stop. It's continuing on after doing the great work after. And that's the important insight of the healing journey.
And there are places when you go down that journey as well, the body journey. I mean, it complements it beautifully, doesn't it? Even synchronistically, there are times when you'll be going through something on an emotional level, and then the body healing, something will happen, click something, and you're like, "Whoa, that was huge!" And you just know. I had one in the car with Andrew and Laura. Sorry, go ahead, Dale.
Yes, there was a funny time. So Andrew got me with a gun, and he got to my abducts, and he looked at me, and goes, "Don't kick me."
Sounds so wrong, whatever you say. Andrew got me with a gun.
So when I experience high pain, I don't make a noise. I go weird, and I start like flopping around. So I started doing that. and he got my pecs. Then the next day, there were literally, I couldn't move my arms, and I was like, I've never had someone. The next day, they killed, and he got the gun straight away and went into them again, and like they actually released, and I was like, I could actually start feeling my body and how it's meant to actually feel. And from doing the combined therapy, that massage gun process, I went and bought my own, and I started doing it regularly on myself, and my body's starting to get used to how it's meant to feel. Before, I was dealing with stress, I was dealing with tension. My body was so used to just holding it, and it took a long time for that to able to come out and actually feel how legs are meant to feel, how your arms are meant to feel.
Exactly, and there are also spiritual traumas that we hold in our body that need to be released that way as well, right? So there's some traumas we can heal through the work, other traumas that the body needs that co-creation in it.
Yes.
And the reason I say don't punch me is because I've been punched. I've been kicked. I've been punched. I've been headbutted.
I got kicked off Sam.
Guys, honestly, the nervous system of a lot of people is in havoc on a normal daily basis.
Yep.
If you guys are listening to this broadcast or whatever, take my advice, do self-check, be mindful of what's going on inside, be mindful of how you feel. Something hurts, deal with it.
Yes.
Don't just go about it, right? Oh, something hurts. You have a traffic jam in your head, stop what you're doing. Stop,
Exactly.
sit down, process it. All right. Don't walk around with a traffic jam in your head. That's how you get into accidents. That's how you bump into people in Walmart. One of my worst places on earth to visit. You know, the mindlessness of people is on full display, hitting you with the shopping carts and bits. Yeah, never mind. Let's not get into that. That's a personal something. But anyway, as I was saying, if you have a traffic jam in your head, no matter where you are, stop, stop immediately. Why is there a traffic jam here? What can I do to relieve it? Don't walk around with pain. Don't walk around in the traffic jam. And if you're feeling the malaise, which is a spiritual construct, let me describe what a malaise is feeling. What a malaise is, because most of y'all have experienced it, but y'all don't have a name for it. We're calling it the malaise. The malaise is that feeling that something just isn't right. I just feel put upon. I just feel like it's kind of like overwhelmed mixed with scatteredness. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? You'll have felt it before. That is the malaise. That is coming from the spiritual self. That is coming from your soul. And that tells you you need to stop. Lie down wherever you are. I don't care whether you're in church. Okay? Lie down wherever you are and get a handle on what everything is trying to tell you, because it will tell you. Your body will report it to you immediately. But if you're not listening, your body will stop reporting. You know, you have pain, you're just going about it, your body's going to stop reporting, and it's going to become your new normal. So you have a whole bunch of people walking around like a rusted screw with a vice grip attached to it. Okay, that's what it is. You need to put some WD-40 on it. You know, to love up that screw, take it out, you know, that kind of thing, right? Let it breathe. And a lot of you are not doing that. And Andrew, I wish we could just put at least people through that system, because a lot of people have trauma on board. They just take it as the new normal.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question?
They end up living in pain for an entire lifetime.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to ask you guys a question. What was it like when you were first doing these back in Barbados and you realized all of a sudden, holy shit, look what we're actually onto here? What were were there any markers, any particular patients that just stuck out?
I actually started in 2016 while I was in Seattle, actually.
All right.
That's
Okay.
where I did the first group of it. And then when I got to Barbados is when I met David. So I must have been in Barbados about a year, a little less than a year. Then I met David, and then we started combining them, like, because he came over, like, what are you guys doing? No. 15 years ago, we were talking about this stuff. And then he's actually saw it in action. And then we put our brains together and say, this is the next level. What are we missing? What are the angles that we're not paying attention to here? So when I first started it, I absolutely knew it, because I developed it because so many people came to my sessions recovering from cancer, recovering from AIDS, heartbreaking destruction, whatever. And I needed a system to get people who were living in permanent pain out of permanent pain. So that was what I originally developed for. Then I realized people who were having these pains removed had mystical experiences. And then I started doing on people who weren't sick at all, just average Joe everybody, and realizing, oh my God, the level that I have here, I have to refine it. I have to start training other people on it. Just like I told you, you as a healer working in the system, you will accelerate so fast. I mean, look at the journey the
Absolutely.
three of you've gone through
Oh my God.
because you have people in the exact right, perfect state for the healing to take effect. And the rest is your personal technique. But what did we discover? Oh my God, so many things.
Yeah.
I mean, David and I would have these brainstorm moments that would go on for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
Yes, and me at the beginning, I was just in it for the psychonautic experience. I keep telling you guys that. All right. Oh, like I get to do be a mind astronaut. I'm in. Sign me up. Right. Right. So, but then I realized that there are other levels to this. People live in unawareness. They live in unawareness, and I think bringing people to themselves. I've been a yoga teacher in my life. Okay, I've seen people have breakthroughs with themselves 12 years after starting yoga. I want to minimize that time to 1 day. Okay. Actually, I would like to minimize that time to less than a day. I want the breakthroughs that you get in Hatha Yoga over the period of 12 years. Ain't nobody got the time, right? People drop off and so on because they get discouraged and so on. I understand that it's character building and so on, but I do believe, and I'll tell you, spirituality on the whole, the esoteric world on the whole, is people are losing interest because it's work. It's not fun,
Yes.
right? And that's my main problem. Okay. So people are dropping off, they come onto the spiritual path, they drop off. I understand that those that stay, they are disciplined and whatever else. But the reason why they don't stay is because they're not getting anywhere. But if you bring people into communion with themselves immediately, we get an idea of what can happen.
Yeah, God, do you know that first skim that we do, David? We call it, I so I call it in my mind the first skim, the initial skim. It's when we all get there together and our psychic awarenesses are going bing, 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 and the machine's on, and
Right.
we're looking at what's obvious, what's there. I mean, that alone in that first hour, we remove what would take people decades to remove, going to various healers, and But then after that is the depths, and after that, that's that real life changing stuff where you're not just skimming off we call it the surface. It's not. Some of it's things that are deep inside, but it's the first initial treatment, and then after that it just snowballs, and you're getting to that point where it literally changes people's lives and you can see it. It's
If
palpable.
people could experience the mystical just for a fraction of a second, they would remain interested because they're always going to want to try to get back there and
Exactly.
stay in that space.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. And that's where we're heading towards. I couldn't care less about the body effects. Okay, I could care less about the body effects, but I care less about the body effects than I care about people all of a sudden realizing, oh shit, I'm a human being. I'm a spiritual being. Yay. If you could get them to experience that like just for a fraction of a second, then you have a spiritual student for life.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they don't know the difference, right?
And you couple that with the physical stuff, because like Richard, after his first day, he was like 2 inches taller, and it was. Do you remember? He's a
Yeah.
big man.
Yeah.
He's a big
Yeah.
man. His neck was
I
like
saw
this, and
that. That
after
was
the first
funny.
day, he was
That was
standing like
actually funny to look at because I
I'm
know
two
Richard,
and a
right?
half inches too.
Yeah, she actually was 2.5 inches taller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Richard, guys, Richard's not actually on. He's not able to get on. So I'll just quickly share the experience we had with him. So when he
Yeah.
came to the combine, he came in with a hunch, and he was like bent over. And I looked at him, and I like held his back up, and I was like, the spine was just bent. And he went through the system, and he went through the gun and all the work we did, and he grew like 2 inch taller, and his spine was straight, and his shoulders went into the correct position, and it was like, holy shit, Like, he
When you
came
stood
through
up.
that door with a hunchback because Richard's a labourer, so he's digging all the time. So there's huge tension going up the spinal area. And he came and he was bent, and as he left, he was straight. And just to see that, I was like, "Holy shit,
Yeah.
man! Look at that! Like,
Then that's without all of the
completely
spiritual
changed
ahas.
his form. Like,
Yeah.
more of the soul was actually able to get into his body because he went through such a release that the pheromones started coming through on the last few sessions, and more of the spirit was able to be grounded in him. He didn't have any of that fogginess, that overthinking. He actually said, "I feel free. I'm not overthinking. I'm not thinking about other stuff. There's just complete silence around me." And that's when I looked and I was like, "Guys, this is just fucking incredible. Like, just look at this."
Yeah. Remarkable.
I have an interesting little story to share. When I first met David and I was showing him all the different pieces, parts, I'm like, "Hey, I have a hyperbaric chamber," and he's like, "What?" And it was like showing off my monster truck to a guy, or the saying, "I have this hypnagogic light. I got this Porsche I got to show you." It was the coolest thing. He's like, "You have a hyperbaric chamber?" "Yes, come look at it."
A month after, I was in Key Largo, Florida, learning to become a hyperbaric oxygen therapy
Right.
tech.
Yeah.
with all the
One
special
star.
forces guys, with all those special forces guys too.
Yeah, I went to train with the U.S. Navy to learn this stuff. That was funny as hell.
It was so funny. He's like, "You have a hyperbaric chamber?" I'm like, "Why, yes, I do."
Because I know what that is, and I know what you use it for.
Yeah, just to
The
show off,
possibilities are
and the
endless.
fact that he got every word I was saying. I didn't have to slow down talking. It was. Oh my god! It was like freedom. Somebody understands.
Oh yeah, I get it.
David, the human AI,
Yes.
He is. Yeah.
full on human.
Do you think he wasn't sentenced to become source connected, huh? One of those
So-
AIs.
Yeah. When the AI starts meditating and telling me all about that. I am making the first psychic AI. I'm not kidding. I'm doing it. Right? So I think a lot of people would want to know when next we're having these sessions. For those of you who are on mainland USA, we're going to plan something for you guys. We absolutely are. Right. But for those of you who are in the UK, I'm coming across there eventually. You know that. You think you're going to lose out of that fun? No, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to get you on the table, David, as well. I can't wait.
Yeah, we are.
With a bunch of guns.
A bunch of hands.
With a bunch of something. Yeah, you wait.
Right, guys. So we're at the end. Go
Two
ahead.
guns and an ultrasound therapy at the same time.
Yes.
Can't wait.
So we're coming to the end of the show now, guys. So thank you all for coming on this incredible journey. It's been really fun. So Matty, how do people get hold of you for sessions, bro?
Okay, you just head over to twofeathersmedicine.com and click on my name, and then there's a link there to have a private session with me. There's a few small light language products on there as well. Yeah, head over to twofeathersmedicine.com.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, I'm on twofeathersmedicine.com. You can book there or just email me, Laura2feathers with the number 2 at gmail.com. And if you're interested, we will be in York once again for the Combined Therapies next year. So we will be there, I think it's the 15th of January for a couple of weeks. So again, we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 day packages. We are in the process of getting a website sorted, so you will actually be able to book through the website eventually. But if you're interested and you want to get your name down for it, then just email me for the moment, and I can send you details of what we do, and hopefully we'll be able to add some of the new modalities we were talking about today as well in the future. So would love to see you there, guys. Next year, and thank you, Sam, and the lovely Lily for coming on.
So,
Sorry,
Yeah, Laura 2 feathers at gmail.com is
Yeah.
the
yes, David.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank these two ladies for coming on. You guys are brave. Lily, keep your chin up. And so, right. And so, And so you can contact me at info@unifiedhealthsystems.com. This has been fun, guys. We really need to do this more often, right? But yeah, contact me, and if you all need any information about the air deck, that's there, or we pretty much detailed everything in the system in that air deck. So go check it out. Take care.
Thank you. And Andrew?
You guys know on my end. You go to my website, andrewbartzis.com. You can look at the various products that we've all put together. And you can find out we will be coming this coming Thursday. We will have a show which will be doing a specific live healing meditation for everyone. So come on and join us. And then this Friday, we'll be running our World of Warcraft game stream also. So look forward to seeing you there for the healing meditation or the gaming show. And then we'll be back this coming Tuesday for another Talking Stick show.
Beautiful. Thank you, Andrew. And if anybody would like soul surgery sessions, visit daletobin.com. I'm also going to be doing up and coming training in the middle of November. So again, thank you. And before we go, I just want any last words, Lily, Sam, we'll start with you, Lily. Any last words to close?
If you feel called to do the combined therapies, just go for it. It's really fun and it will change your life.
Thank you, Lily. Sam?
Just there's so much peace and freedom to have, and I literally feel like I can fly. So these guys work miracles. So my heartfelt thanks to them, and like just love yourself. Go get some therapy.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Lily.
Yep,
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Mwah. Tschüss.